The day the sky almost lost its giant, imagine looking into the sky and realizing one of North America's greatest birds had almost disappeared forever, not because of a natural disaster, not because it couldn't survive, but because of us. The California Condor, with wings stretching nearly 10 feet across, once ruled the skies above mountains, canyons, and endless coastlines, long before cities, long before highways. These enormous birds had already been soaring above America for thousands of years. They survived ice ages, massive predators, climate changes, entire civilizations rising and falling. Yet somehow, the greatest threat they would ever face arrived only recently. By the 1980s, the impossible had happened. The entire wild population had fallen to just 27 birds, 27 fewer birds than students in a classroom. Scientists looked toward the sky and realized the California Condor was about to vanish forever. No one knew whether humanity should interfere or simply watch one of Earth's oldest flying giants disappear. Then, conservationists proposed something so controversial that many believed it would destroy the species forever. They wanted to capture every single wild California condor, the last ones, every one of them. It sounded insane. How could saving a wild bird possibly begin by removing it from the wild? The debate became fierce. Some scientists argued that capturing the last wild condors would erase everything that made them wild. Others believed doing nothing would guarantee extinction. Every week, another condor disappeared. Some died after swallowing fragments of lead ammunition left in animal carcasses. Others collided with power lines. Some were poisoned before anyone even understood why. Time was running out finally. A decision was made. One by one, the remaining wild condors were carefully captured. Helicopters, ground teams, specialized traps. Every rescue carried enormous risk. Each bird represented an irreplaceable piece of an ancient species. When the final wild condor was safely captured, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in history, there were 0 California condors flying freely in the wild. The skies had fallen silent. The future of an entire species now depended on a handful of birds living inside breeding facilities. Every egg became priceless. Every chick represented hope. Scientists worked around the clock, learning everything they could about condor behavior. But breeding wasn't enough. Young condors couldn't become attached to humans. If they did, they might never survive in the wild. Caretakers wore camouflage, used lifelike condor puppets, avoided showing their faces. Even feeding time became carefully choreographed, so every chick believed it was being raised by another condor. It was one of the most unusual conservation efforts ever attempted, and slowly, something incredible began to happen. The number of chicks started to grow. Hope returned. Raising condors was only half the challenge. Now they had to teach them how to live free. Young birds were released into the mountain landscapes their ancestors had once ruled. At first, everything was unfamiliar. The open sky, changing weather, towering cliffs, finding food, avoiding danger. Each released condor carried a small identification tag, allowing scientists to monitor every movement. Some birds struggled, others adapted remarkably quickly. Slowly, the empty skies began welcoming giants. Once again, for the first time in years, wild California condors were soaring over canyons, exactly where they belonged. But one invisible danger still threatened everything. The greatest threat wasn't a predator. It wasn't starvation. It wasn't disease. It was something hidden inside the food they ate. Lead condors feed on dead animals. When hunters leave behind carcasses, tiny lead fragments from ammunition can remain inside. The birds swallow those fragments without ever knowing. Even microscopic amounts can cause deadly lead poisoning. Scientists discovered many released condors were dying from something completely invisible. Saving the species would require more than breeding. It would require changing human behavior. Education campaigns began. Hunters switched to non-lead ammunition. Wildlife organizations worked with local communities. The rescue had become a partnership. Year after year. More chicks hatched. More birds returned to the wild. The population slowly climbed. Dozens became hundreds. Today, California condors once again soar across parts of California, Arizona, Utah, and Baja California. Every bird still receives careful monitoring. Every new chick matters. The species isn't completely safe, but it is no longer standing at the edge of extinction. The impossible became possible because people refused to give up. The next time you see a giant bird circling silently high above the mountains, remember this: not long ago, that sight almost disappeared forever. The California condor survived, not because nature protected it, but because people chose to protect nature. Its story reminds us that extinction isn't always the final chapter. Sometimes it's the beginning of one of the greatest rescue stories ever written. Science, determination, and hope gave an ancient giant another chance to rule the sky. And perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all: how a species reduced to only 27 birds found its way back into the open sky. If this incredible story inspired you, tell us in the comments. Did you know the California condor almost disappeared forever? And if you enjoy discovering the hidden mysteries, remarkable true stories, and extraordinary science behind birds and wildlife, subscribe to Winged Mysteries, because sometimes the greatest miracles in nature aren't found in myths. They're real, and they're still flying above us today.